The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Pompey fans anxious for updates on Pompey's walking wounded have spent another 24 hours in limbo, as there has been no announcement nor even any smoke signals coming out of the training ground. All that is known for sure is that there aren't enough treatment tables to go round. The tantalising prospect that John Messino might have to choose between a fit-again John Swift and a fit-again Connor Chaplin for the coveted number 10 shirt rumbles on behind closed doors. The possibility that Hayden Matthews might return to add height to a partnership with Regan Paul, giving Ogilvie back his number 3 shirt and John Messino the pleasant headache of what to do with Zach Swanson, is a prospect that's both real and tangible. Fans hungry for good news about Connor Shaughnessy, and the possibility of his availability stirring the pot for selections to play at number 5 and 6, have had no scraps fall from the table of Fratton Park. Fans, and for that matter journalists, looking for the good news to balance the bad news of Josh Murphy's incapacity remain undernourished.
Emaciated even, rather like the Pompey squad. So nothing to add there. We have learned nothing in the last 24 hours. As soon as we hear anything concrete, then we'll bring it to listeners of Pompey Sound and also to our regular podcasts.
Blackburn boss Michael O'Neill is warning his club are in a poor state right now, telling the Lancashire Telegraph.
At times, the team that finishes the game is not as strong as the team that starts the game. That's, with the injuries that we have and the players that we've got missing, that's a consequence. We have players coming in who haven't played for a while and we have to manage them through the game as well. So that's a challenge. We need to develop durability, both individually and collectively. I think, as a team, we need to be more durable. And we weren't able to do that in the second half. We played very well in the first half, I thought. Dealt with the long balls, and picked up a lot of second balls, and we played some really good football as well in the first half. We could have been better in the final third with some of the opportunities and possession that we had. But overall, we looked comfortable, I felt, in the first half. We got caught a couple of times, just counter-attacks, which may be off our own free kicks.
Blackburn boss Michael O'Neill kind of making excuses before the game. What's his motive there? Is he being realistic and honest? Or is he doing a John Messino, who is occasionally, and he admits it, dishonest, in order to throw the opposition off their stride, give them a false sense of security or confidence or something? Or is he signalling to his board that the squad that he's been given isn't good enough and that therefore he ought to be able to see out the season, even if they go down, and even hang around for the next season in League One, because he wants the job. We'll find out when they kick off against Blackburn, at Blackburn, which, by the way, is another 5 hours there, 5 hours back game for Pompey.
Time for the final word on Pompey's game with Hull on Saturday. It was notable that most onlookers observed Pompey looked tired, and yet their 5 games in 15 days was the tall order facing most if not all Championship sides, including Hull. However, Pompey Sound has delved a little deeper into the twin itineraries of the last fortnight. 4 of Pompey's 5 games were away from home, 2 of them involving 4-hour journeys. 2 of the games were 7:45 p.m. kickoffs. Over the 15 days prior to the Hull game, the Pompey team spent a staggering 25.5 hours in a coach. Health practitioners warn that long coach trips can be harmful physically and emotionally, causing stiffness in the joints and often affecting oxygen levels, not to mention introducing levels of stress and boredom in those on the journey. Contrast Pompey's run into the Hull game with the itinerary of Hull, remembering that 4 of 5 of Pompey's games were away, 2 of which involving extra long coach trips. It's staggering to discover that all of Hull's 5 games before Pompey were played at home. On each of their 5 games, the Hull team had only to leave their front doors, travel 10 or 15 minutes to the ground and change. Pompey's almost unprecedented Grand Tour of England was in contrast the polar opposite.
And yet we were the better side, in spite of looking tired and being tired. I have to say that whoever this guy is who's got this laptop, this magic laptop, that does all the fixtures for an entire season with one press of the button, enter, because it has the software loaded to make sure that all of the considerations that should be considered are taken into consideration, such as, for example, 2 teams that are close by each other geographically don't have home games on the same Saturday. It clearly misses certain things. The start of last season, we had 8 of the top 9 teams in the Championship. We had to play them, and that got us off to a bad start, which took us a long time to recover from. That was anomalous. This stat is staggering. That we should be up against having spent 25 and a half hours cramped in a coach, tootling along a motorway, stopping only at toll booths, 4.5 hours there, play a game of football, 4.5 hours back, getting home, getting in at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting home at 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, getting whatever sleep you can, and then presumably turning up the next day, but not actually on the crack of dawn, in order to have the game processed and broken down by the analysis teams. Tired? Doesn't enter into it. Whereas Hull had 5 games in a row at home. The 3rd of February, the 7th of February, then there was a cup game they had. Chelsea, they lost, but they were at home. 21st of February, 24th of February, Hull had 5 home games in a row. We had 4 away games, 2 evening kickoffs, and 2 of them coach trips of nearly 5 hours. Preston is 4 hours and 45 minutes away by coach from Fratton Park. And Wrexham almost as far, 4 hours. There's something wrong there. That fella needs to tinker a little bit with his software and take things like that into consideration, surely. Surely we didn't deserve to lose. We were tired, everybody said so. And yet we were the better team. So it's another one of those ones, go figure. But let's hope that that works in our favour in the run-in now towards the end of the season.
Pompey CEO Andy Cullen is clear about plans to upgrade Fratton Park, which appear to be when Premier League football heaves into view as a realistic prospect. These are his words.
To get the volume of seats we need, we would have to extend the north stand. That's the way to increase capacity. We can't do anything with the south stand because it's landlocked by houses behind. You can't do anything behind the Milton end because you are again landlocked by houses, and there are other issues with infrastructure and residents. The north stand needs space behind it. It's an area you can build up and build back, which would give you extra capacity and is the obvious area to do a build. The Fratton end is difficult because there isn't enough land behind it, while you need to ensure you still have space and an access route for emergency vehicles. Then there are the corners, and there is certainly scope to do something there, but it has to be cost-effective because of the amount of debt versus the investment required. It's also not as strong as doing something properly in the north stand. To make the north stand work, however, it needs to be an enabling development, which is why the overall site is of such importance to this project.
And what didn't get mentioned there is the business of access to Fratton Park from Fratton Railway Station, which everybody anticipates is going to be heavily used if we're going to have another 5,000 people coming to Fratton Park to watch us play. The plan, obviously, the hope, rather, is that we will be playing the Arsenals and the Liverpools of this world, and therefore easily able to fill 25,000 seats. But of course, the not nightmare, but the worst case scenario to a point for the Eisners is if we go up to the Premier League, and it's a big if, and then we decide to develop the North Stand so that we have a capacity of 25,000. First of all, that development will surely take an entire season. And that will mean that we could be playing Premier League football in a ground that is shorn of its 12th man. Pompey's 12th man, of course, the number 12 shirt is retired because the crowd are number 12. The crowd are Pompey's 12th man. And if we reduce the stadium to being one of those stadiums which are only inhabited on 3 sides, and it's going to look very bad on television, isn't it? Because the television cameras will show a building site. We've seen it before. To a much lesser extent. It doesn't work for us. We want a wall of noise surrounding the game, singing, play up Pompey. That's what we want. That's what we need. That's what everybody wants and needs. Okay, but if we do a development, then we are going to lose a large part of that. And that could contribute to us having a very faltering start to life in the Premier League. We could end up being perhaps a one-time yo-yo club, perhaps a yo-yo club for 2 or 3 years to come, which will mean that the investment, the returns on the investment of 5,000 extra seats, a bill presumably going upwards and applying an entire new tier to the North Stand, that money will not be recouped very quickly. The only chance of recouping that money quickly, of course, will come from the additional television money that Pompey will get from being in the Premier League and staging games against Arsenal and Manchester United and Liverpool, as well as the Bournemouths. And Bournemouth seem to be able to do it with capacity half of what we've got at the moment. But I sidelined there. But I always wonder how they do that. I guess they've got a big sugar daddy. But anyway, coming back to our requirements and our circumstance, we know that the plans to develop some kind of walkway between Fratton Railway Station and Fratton Park, we know that they are inching along at snail's pace, but crucial to the redevelopment of the North Stand getting the green light. And we would like to have that stadium, I suspect, built and completed, that development built and completed, before we suddenly find ourselves, one of the first games on Match of the Day, as one of the Premier League games of the day. That would be a fantastic scenario in front of 25,000. But there are so many ducks that have to be got into line before any of this can take place, on the pitch and off the pitch and round the back of Fratton Park. So we just have to step back and allow those that know, and Andy Cullen is one of them, the Eisners I suspect also. Then you've got MPs and you've got planning people and you've got building companies and you've got architects and designers all vying to have their voice heard in this mouth-watering prospect of turning Fratton Park, off the pitch and on the pitch as well, into a Premier League club. That is plan A. Go for it, fellas. Go for it. Come on.